Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Vijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Samunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjari Hari Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ramacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sakahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Govida Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Ganga Jamuna Tulasi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samavetta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Lord Premanandi, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastha Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswata Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashaktare Shatarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 47, Verse 21. Apibata madhupuryam arya putro dunaste Smarati sapitragehan somya bandun shagopan Kvachidapi sakata na kinkarinam granite Bhujam aguru sugandam murj ajasya padanu Api, certainly, Bata, regrettable, Madhupuryam, in the city of Mathura. Aryaputra, son of Nanda Maharaj, Aduna, now, Aste, resides. Smriti, remembers. Sa, he, Pitragehan, household affairs of his father. Somya, O great soul, Bandhu, his friends. Shah, and Gopan, cowherd boys. Kvachit, sometimes. Api, or Sa, he. Kata, talks. Na, of us. Kinkarina, of the maidservants. Krinite, relates. Bhujam, hand. Aguru Sugandham, having the fragrance of Aguru. Murdni, on the head. Ajasa, will keep. Kada, when. Nu, maybe. Translation, O Uddhava, it is indeed regrettable that Krishna resides in Mathura. Does he remember his father's household affairs and his friends, the cowherd boys? O great soul, does he ever talk about us, his maidservants? When will he lay on our heads his aguru-scented hand? Purport, the translation and word meanings for this verse are taken from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti writes very poetically with deep spiritual insight about the emotions expressed in this and the previous 9 verses. He interprets Radharani's feelings as follows. Srimati Radharani thought, since Krishna was once satisfied in Vraja but left for Mathura's city, won't he also develop a desire to leave that place and go somewhere else? Mathura is so close to Vrindavan that it's possible he may even come back here. Krishna is the son of a respectable gentleman, Nanda Maharaj, so he must be staying in Mathura because of his sense of obligation to his father who authorized his going there. On the other hand, while Nanda's whole life is dedicated exclusively to Krishna, Nanda is so innocent that he allowed himself to be tricked by the Yadavas, who brought Krishna to Mathura. Krishna must be thinking, alas, alas, since even my father could not bring me back to Vraja, what can I do to return there? Thus, Krishna must be impatient to come back here, and so he has sent you a messenger. It is only because Nanda is so innocent that he allowed his son to leave. If Nanda had allowed Krishna's mother, the queen of Vraja, to do so, she would have climbed onto Akura's chariot and, holding her son by the neck, gone off to Mathura with him, followed by all the gopis. But this was not possible. Ever since Krishna left, Nanda has been stunned by separation from him, and Nanda's treasury rooms, storerooms, kitchens, sleeping quarters, opulent house, and so on are now vacant, unswept and uncleansed. They are littered with grass, dust, leaves, and cobwebs. Does Krishna ever remember his father's houses? And does he sometimes remember Subal and his other friends who are now lying stunned in other neglected houses? The women of Mathura who now associate with Krishna cannot know how to serve him in the way that pleases him most. When they see he is not satisfied and ask how they can make him happy, does he tell them about us gopis? Krishna must tell them, you city ladies cannot please me as much as the gopis of Vraja. They are most expert in stringing flower garlands, perfuming their bodies with ointments, playing various rhythms and melodies on stringed instruments, dancing and singing in the rasa performance, displaying their beauty, charm, and cleverness, and skillfully playing at questions and answers. They are especially expert in the pastimes of meeting one's lover and showing jealous anger, and other signs of pure love and affection. Surely Krishna must know this. Therefore, he'll probably tell the women of Mathura, "My dear women of the Yadu clan, please go back to your families. I no longer desire to associate with you. In fact, I'm going back to Vraja early tomorrow morning." When will Krishna speak like this and come back here to place his hand fragrant with our Guru on our heads? Then he will console us, saying, "O beloveds of my heart, I swear to you that I will never abandon you again and go elsewhere. Indeed, I have not been able to find anyone in all the three worlds with even a trace of your good qualities." Thus, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti interprets the feelings of Srimati Radharani. The Acharya further explains that the present text displays the speech called Sujalpa, as described by Rupa Goswami. Yat arjavat sa gambiryam sadainyam saha chapalam sotkantam cha haripashtaha sa sujalpa nigadyate. When, out of honest sincerity, a lover questions Sri Hari with gravity, humility, unsteadiness, and eagerness, such speech is known as Sujalpa. Concluding this section of chapter 47, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti explains that there are 10 divisions of divine madness, or divyonmada, which are expressed by the 10 divisions of Chitrajalpa, or variegated speech. Such divine madness is shown in the special pastime of bewilderment, which is itself part of the supreme bliss, Mahabhava, of Srimati Radharani. The Acharya quotes the following verses from Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani to explain these ecstasies. Payo Vrindavaneshvar ayam mohano yam udanshati etasya mohanakyasya gatim kam apyupeyushaha. Brahmarabha kapi vaichitri divonmada itiriyate Udgurna chitra japadhyas tadveda bahavo mata prashtasya sufrid aloke guda roshavi jimbrataha buri bhava mayo jalpo yas tivrot kanti tanti maha chitra japa dasango yam prajalpa pari jalpataha vijalpo jalpa Sanjalpo, avajalpo, bijalpatam, ajalpa, pati jalpascha, sujalpas, cheti, kirtitaha. It is virtually only within the princess of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani, that the ecstasy of bewilderment arises. She has attained to a special stage of this bewilderment, a wonderful state that resembles delusion, known as divyonmada. It has many aspects which come and go unsteadily, and one of these manifestations is chitra jalpa. This talk, induced by her seeing her beloved friend, is filled with covert anger and comprises many different ecstasies. It culminates in her intense anxious eagerness. This chitra jalpa has 10 divisions known as prajalpa, parijalpa, vijalpa, ujalpa, sanjalpa, avajalpa, abhijalpa, ajalpa, pratijalpa, and sujalpa. Finally, some authorities say that Krishna himself, eager to drink the sweetness of his beloved's speech, assumed the form of the messenger bee. Translation: O Uddhava, it is indeed regrettable that Krishna resides in Mathura. Does he remember his father's household affairs and his friends, the cowherd boys? O great soul, does he ever talk about us, his maidservants? When will he lay on our heads his aguru-scented hand? So like the previous verse, this verse also does not reveal criticism or hatred or envy or whatnot. the previous verse was actually one of humility, speaking, of course, to the bee, out of fear that the bee would report all of her angry words back to Krishna. So this verse also is in a mood of, conciliation after the previous verse. And this verse expresses regret and lamentation rather than criticism. The previous verse was spoken in a very humble mood. So based on our humility, now Radharani expresses her, lamentable position by showing the pain of separation and recollecting how Krishna should remember them, but maybe he does not. So the first line here is a question or a statement of regret that now Krishna is living in Mathura. And here in the purport there's an elaborate explanation, particularly of the word Aryaputra, the son of Nanda Maharaj. So by using this word, the son of Nanda, then she expresses the idea that Nanda is also in separation from Krishna, and somehow or other Nanda allowed Akrura to take Krishna there, and he also accompanied Krishna there, but then he could not bring him back, and then Nanda came back alone. And then he got the criticism of all the Brajabasis and Yasoda and the gopis because he had promised to bring Krishna back and he couldn't do that. So Nanda is also in a very lamentable state because he broke his promise to everyone else in Vrindavan and didn't bring Krishna back. So in this way, she's appealing to not only the gopis, for the gopis, but also for Nanda, and applying to Krishna's sentiment as the son of Nanda, that you must give some consolation or comfort to Nanda by coming back. And she also mentions here in the second line, does he remember the houses of his father and the friends, the cowherd boys? So here she doesn't just talk about the gopis. She talks about the houses and the cowherd boys. Does he remember the houses and the cowherd boys? So the houses are mentioned because now the houses are all empty and uncleaned and full of spider webs, etc. No activity, etc. because everyone is in lamentation and separation from Krishna. So when Krishna was there, it was exactly the opposite. He remembers, or should remember, the house full of singing and joyful activities. Now the houses are completely empty, completely different. And cowherd boys. Cowherd boys also are in separation from Krishna. The cowherd boys went with Krishna and the elder men to Mathura. And when Krishna killed Kamsa, the cowherd boys were there and they saw that. But when Nanda Maharaj went back, they had to go with Nanda. So they all returned again. So the cowherd boys are also in separation from Krishna. And when he was in Vrindavan, every day, there's descriptions how every day in the morning, the cowherd boys would gather outside his house and they would wait for him to come out And then together they would all go into the forest. And in the other parts of the Bhagavatam, first parts of the 10th canto, it's described how they would play in the forest together. And very freely they would play as equals. And then in the evening time they would come back. So that association, very intimate association all during the daytime, was something which was to be treasured by everyone. So now there's separation, and the cowherd boys, like everyone else, is in lamentation. And then in the third line, then he mentions about the gopis. Does he talk sometimes about the gopis? So that's all she mentions. She doesn't say anything else about the activities. So simply does he mention the gopis at all? So no criticism meant here. Simply that somehow or other Krishna should remember the people of Vrindavan, including the gopis. So it's in the statement is made with some hopelessness and regret that we don't know whether Krishna is still thinking of us or not. But nevertheless, we hope that he does. So no criticism, just a little prayer that Krishna should sometimes remember them. And the last verse, of course, expresses the idea that he should come back, because they say, when will he place his hand upon our heads? So the desire is there indirectly that Krishna should come back and give up all others in favor of the people of Vrindavan and the gopis. So this particular verse is called Sujaba, which indicates Su indicates Su means something very good. So the talk is in no way filled with sarcasm or hatred or envy or things like that. It is a very beautiful words used to express sentiments. So the definition is that it is spoken with gravity or with humility, with eagerness and with humility. Unsteadiness, chapalya, a little bit unsteady mind. So, and it's all done with great sincerity, arjava. So, this is the last of the 10 verses, which are all parts of what is called chitra jalpa, or we could say variegated talking, induced on the highest level of mahabhava in separation. So all of this is part of what is called divyonmada, or divine madness, which is generally revealed in Radharani and no one else. And so therefore this Chitrajalpa belongs only to her. So that's why it's concluded that all this says one gopi spoke. But then it was concluded that's actually Radharani, because she's the one that expresses Chitrajalpa, and no one else. So this type of Mahabhava, there's Mahabhava in union and Mahabhava in separation. So this is the Mahabhava in separation, where she experiences great pain and also some bliss within that pain. So as the purport explained, the commentators like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have written quite elaborately on these verses, explaining them in different ways according to the different words, and each word can be expanded in different ways, and based on that then larger descriptions are given of the different questions and whatever that arise through these different words. So in this way, the sentiments of Radha are revealed, and the greatness of Radha is revealed by the intensity of her love for Krishna.
Usually we find in this material world, separation also causes great difficulties in minds of people. When somebody dies in the family, when they're living, they don't glorify. We usually see when somebody dies, they start glorifying him and remembering him. So like, how to understand that Mahabhava in separation? In spiritual world, because we don't see Krishna always and we have to think about him. In middle world it's completely opposite. When somebody is together, they forget him. They get very familiar. When they're not with them, and they start glorifying.
Glorification is there in either case in the spiritual world, since the separation is also part of the, part of the prema. Glorification actually, kirtan means glorification. So in the material world, we do kirtan out of separation from the Lord, because we don't see Him directly. In the spiritual world, the devotees there see the Lord, and they glorify them when they see Him. So we see when the persons appear, let's say in Dwarka, when Krishna appears there, then there's glorification of Him. And all day long we see in Vrindavan, when Krishna is not there, they're remembering Him, and they remember Him by glorification. So they sing songs about Him all day long. And then in separation, great separation, as in the Rasa Leela when Krishna disappeared, then we see that the gopis resorted to kirtan in separation, calling out Krishna's name, and then He appeared again. So glorification is, constant in the spiritual world, in meeting and in separation. In the material world, we have glorification, but most of the glorification is, we could say, somewhat artificial. Because, obviously, people are full of faults. And all we're doing is glorifying at most, even if they're good materialists, all we're glorifying is their material achievements, which is ultimately due to material consciousness. So we're glorifying their position in the material world and their material achievements, etc., which are all in the gunas. So it's not much to glorify at all. And if they have other glorification apart from that, material glorification in terms of charity work, that's also material because it is sattvic glorification. Not only when they die, we find there are events where they commemorate people and their different occasions, and they get glorified, etc. But all of this glorification is material and temporary. And as the Bhagavatam explains, all this glorification, usually it is very temporary, and after the person has disappeared and died, then everybody forgets. And even if there are monuments and whatever, the monuments get covered with dust and the monuments get broken or whatever. So glorification in the material world is not very credible at all. It's rather meaningless. We do have, of course, people in separation in the material world, and they may glorify. And when they're not in separation, they may glorify also. But in either case, it is, we can all say, it's all rather meaningless. In the spiritual world, that glorification is intrinsic to prema itself. So it has great meaning at all times. There they do kirtan not as sadhana, but as an expression of their love. and their joy. So, and of course, the spiritual world is full of Ananda at all times. So, therefore, obviously, there's kirtan at all times.
Every day.
Yeah, why not?
So we see Maharaj Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur has given his insight about last 10 verses. And I remember reading from Srila Prabhupada that Prabhupada said, read my books scrutinizingly and understand from different perspectives. So it looks like that each and every one can have his own insight about certain topic or certain verses in the scripture. So how do we understand this, Maharaj?
Well, there's different insights, but the insights are based upon the actual words. In other words, we can't imagine things that's not mentioned anywhere, and there's no reason for saying it. Obviously, we can make up anything. So all of this insight is based upon the actual words that are there in the text. And by giving meanings to the words, then they can imply certain things, certain emotions, that's all. And these things are all, we say, not contrary to the characters involved. That is, not contrary to Nanda or Yasoda or Radha or anything like that. They're fitting to their qualities.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this question is from Vaikuntapati Prabhu. Now we heard that material glorification is useless and meaningless, but when a devotee glorifies another devotee, how should we take this, Maharaj?
Well, if it's a glorification of the devotee, hopefully we're glorifying him for spiritual qualities, not material qualities. For glorifying material qualities, that's not very valuable.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj, actually as Shankaracharya has concluded that Bhaja, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so impersonalities must be meditating on Krishna. So if they are meditating on Krishna, so how their knowledge is not getting pure? So they are not, means still they are Mayavad.
Oh, well, yeah, Shankaracharya has written a verse glorifying Krishna, etc. But he's written verses glorifying Durga Devi and Shiva and so many others also. So generally they take that, the followers of Shankar take that as glorification of devatas. But more purification, but ultimately we give up all of that and we meditate on Brahman and merging in Brahman.
But as Krishna is pure, so out of mercy, Krishna can give them pure knowledge.
Well, if they don't offend him. But the basis of their philosophy is that ultimately Brahman has no form and no qualities. And that Krishna or Vishnu is a sattva gun manifestation of Brahman. So it is material. So therefore it becomes offensive.
Maharaj, elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that those who even meditate on the impersonal Brahman, they at last come to me. So how do you understand that, Maharaj? They merge with the Brahman or they become the Shankaracharya devotees?
We can say that impersonalism is a step towards becoming a devotee in the sense that it helps them become very detached, etc. Then if they get association with devotees, they can give up the impersonal conception and take to devotional service.
You see here, Vishnu Chakravarti has given some wonderful commentary. He was saying that he was saying that what Radharani was thinking in herself. So here he's saying that Radharani was actually glorifying their own service, that Krishna might come back because of our service, because Mathuravasi, they don't know how to serve Krishna. So it's not like a self-glorification.
Well, not so much self-glorification, but we can say reading Krishna's mind in the sense that when he was there in Vrindavan, he got great joy from those pastimes. And because of that, they must have understood how to serve him the best. And now that he's other places, he will not get such joy. So therefore, he should return to Vrindavan, because the people of Vrindavan are the people who can satisfy it the most. So taking it from Krishna's point of view, that he's not so satisfied with other places. Not that we're better than they are, not with that attitude.
It's not that in her own mind she's not saying.
Yeah, this is more thinking of how Krishna is more satisfied with the people of Vrindavan than with other persons. And he gets more joy.
How to understand then? Because we don't know. Because how can she understand Krishna's mind? Because Krishna might be there something else
we can
also.
say that's her hope at least. Here she doesn't say that Krishna must return. She's saying maybe he'll think of us sometime. So she's in doubt also at the same time. Now, of course, the answer is that simultaneously he's in both places. Because he satisfies everybody. So he satisfies the people of Mathura and Dwarka, and he also satisfies the people of Vrindavan, because he can expand himself and be in both places at once. According to their capacity, then Krishna relates to them in different ways. State where Krishna's gone.
But the acharyas are not able to explain whether it is bewilderment or delusion out of love. They say it is bewilderment.
Yeah.
Or the delusion of love.
So, yeah.
What is the real state of love?
Well, it's part of prema. This Divyonmada, divine madness.
ग्रंथराज